Yes.
Okay, everyone. Myself, Avaz Sardar, and today our session topic is all about the cursor rules for the specific project. And the second thing is how can we generate the multiple uh, code in multiple files, and also the main and the focusing point is the third point, which is that how can we use images and paint as a prompt to generate code for the relevant part of our file. And the fourth point is how can we change only the specific part of the code in our project. Before moving to this topic, let's rewind our previous session content. Uh, let's go through this. In our previous session, we are discussing about what is the cursor IDE and which models cursor use to develop a project code base, and also which are the four or five basics concept the cursor use and why we choose cursors rather than other IDE tools which are available in market. And there are the four main features why we use cursor. It's related to the code generation as the snippets, real-time detection of bugs, and the seamless integration with the our available frameworks. And also, it generates more code faster than other frameworks, other tools, LLM models, because it know our context before and after. That's why it generate code more relevant and generate code faster than other models. And also, in our previous session, we discussed how the cursor prompt will work behind the scene, as you see in our flow chart, as we already discussed in our previous session, and how the cursor generate an auto-based suggestions while we are writing a code manually or while we are generating a code through prompt. And also we discuss about the installation step in our previous sessions and the tool panels which are majorly used in our cursor IDE, which is include cursor tab, cursor prompt bar, and the cursor chat. Uh, in our previous session, we see how can we debug our code as you see in our attached screenshot, and also how can we identify the anonymous bug and how can we fix those bugs on the spot. Okay, so now move to our today's session. Today's session is all about the cursor project, and also generate multiple code in multiple files, use images, and only change the specific part of the code. Okay, so before moving to the cursor IDE, let's discuss about what is the rule and how can we define those rules to in our project so that cursor know our project structure and the namespaces and the patterns which we use in our code base while developing the project. So let's move to the another document where I can show you the rules and the context about the cursor to know before generating a prompt based on your code base. So this in this document file, you will see how the what are the rules and how can we utilize that rule to generate an effective prompt and an effective result based on our prompt. Okay, before moving to directly generating the code, you need to know the best practices to follow to generate an effective code. As you see, there are the golden rules. You need to create three files in your project. One is README file. This file contain only the domain knowledge of your project. And the second file is the planning.md file. The planning.md file, which include all the frameworks versions and the library which you use in your projects and the code architectures. These all the three things will be written in plan.md file. And the task.md file is used to maintain the current task in our code base. Like we are generating a multiple modules, and we are currently working on a specific module, like there is a HRMS based application, and we are working on an employee modules. So we can in cursor ID we will generate a task.md file for that specific module, so that we are know to what step we need to follow to generate our prompt, or what things we are follow, and what are the plans, what are the tasks we need to follow to complete our module effectively with zero bugs. Okay, the second thing, so we need to create code under 500 line. If you generate 1,000 line code, it will be a bad practice, and it is preferred to use only a 500 line of code per component. And this third one is the start fresh conversation, means that if you are we are working on an employee module, and there are these four CRUD operations. What are the CRUD operations? Which include create, update, delete, and write. We are building these three actions in our employee module. Okay, so before while creating these form, we would directly put a command to create a CRUD operation in our employee module. It will be a bad practice. We will use a step-by-step guide to our cursor ID to first create a create action, then an update action, then an read action, and last and delete actions. We will create a separate a chat context for the separate actions. It will utilize whenever there is a bug in a specific action, so we will utilize only that context. No need to adjust all the three remaining action in our one context. It will be a bad practice, so we will use a fresh conversation for every action. Okay, the fourth one is don't overload the model. As I have told you in our last this topic, overload means we are assigning a multiple task at once to do task at once. As I told you previously, we are prompting a for action in a single prompt. It will be a bad practice because the cursor IDE or LLM model didn't know which action should be uh, create first, a delete first, or an update first, or write first, or the uh, uh, update first. So these four actions, or the cursor didn't know which action should be performed first. So we don't need to overload our model. We need to do a specific task for a specific purpose. And after developing our actions or module, we need to test it specifically part or individually, called a unit test or a system test at the end of our module development. And the fourth and fifth is that while we are creating a new module or a new feature in our project, we need to document it, that feature, because that feature, so that whenever we are in future we are working on that module, we are know about what we done previously on this module, and we can also enhance or improve our module in future based on our previously updated document. And fourth, and the last thing is related to the security purpose. We need to use an environment variable to store our API keys, which is related to the some passwords or an LLM model API keys. These keys need to be stored in somewhere environment variable. The environment variable is nothing but it is a text file which hold all your APIs keys or confidential data in that file. It will not shown as a plain text file. It will be a hidden file which is not shown to any other developer who is accessing that directory. It will be a permission based directory. That's why it is a good practice to use this environment uh, variables to store our APIs key. Now we will move to the step by step what is the planning and task management. Here you see we are generating a two file here. One is planning and one is the task.md files. Here you see there are content related to what is the planning file. As I discussed, it will contain the architecture things and constraints and the stack related things in this file. And the task.md file will contain the or contain or track your current task and the backlog and the user stories or a subtask related to your development journey. Okay, so now we'll move to the Cursor global rule. There are two types of rule in Cursor IDE. One is the global rule and one is the Cursor IDE rule. So global rules means the rule, if we define this rule in our global directory, then Cursor will use that rule in all our project while developing in Cursor. And the second one is this system rules. This system rule will only for the specific project. Like if you are working on a six project, each project has its set of rules. So those rules will be stored in the project and called as a system rule. There are multiple contexts related to how Cursor are managing the rules and how can we identify those rules in Cursor. You can see these articles from this URL for the Cursor ID. You can follow this. There are multiple ID available in market, which is Windsurf, Klein, and Roo code results, which work same as our incline works. So this is the overview of our uh, planning.md file. As you see in my planning.md file, it will contain only the project architecture thing. As you see here, it says it will contain an imports directly like this. It will generate a code file like this. These all the rules related to our code structure and modality will be defined in this file. As I previously told you to generate a 500 lines of code in per component. And I also mention here to generate only a 500 line of code in a component. And I also mention here related to the how can we add the test cases and reliability to our module. Because we are developing the module, we need to test that module to be bug free. So we also mention here how can we set those rules to test it that feature properly and manage that document. This file all about related to the planning.md file. Now the second file is related to the task.md files. This file contain the current task and it will create a tree of all the tasks. And whenever you complete the task, it will mark as tag that task as mark as complete and maintain the uh, codes, maintain the task management things in these files. Okay, the next thing is the MCP servers. MCP servers is nothing but to utilize our internet or a file system in our cursor IDE. Because we are opening our code through a folder system and we are generating directly in our files without and utilize any other tool like Visual Studio or VS Code. So cursor is only know our code base files. It didn't know about our files uh, uh, outside the folder, or it didn't know the things in open internet. So for that we use MCP server for these kind of information to provide our cursor. By the way, Cursor new updates automatically manage these MCP configuration as Cursor will utilize the internet and also it will use the folder structure which is outside our directory. You can see these articles. These articles are available to how can we install an MCP server if required. You can just follow these articles to how you can install these MCP servers in a Cursor IDE related to your code base. Okay, so the next we will go through the initial prompt to start the project. Okay, before starting the initial prompt, let's discuss how the LLM model handle the prompt. Before doing a prompt like there is an example to understand how the LLM model will generate an output. Let's see, there is an example called uh, there is a tiger on a tree and it goes down to drink water. Now, this is a proper and English statement, and we need to get a moral or a subject from this statement. Now, the LLM model will do it will break all the words from that sentence and assign a weight to all the words in that sentence. After that, the LLM model do an calculation called an average or something vector-based things. It will do processing on those keyword weightages. After that, it will generate a collectively an integer result, and then it will check the which keyword has more weight. Okay. After that, the LLM model check its direct dictionary to check the result or a previously generated result so that it can generate a response based on the sentence. Like our previous statement is a tiger fall down from the tree to drink a water. Now this statement is told. There is a moral lesson which is that the line is thirsty. The LLM model just do a calculation and breaking the words and sum up all the weightages of that word and generate a result based on the calculation of that word weightages. Same like the cursor IDE work, it encrypt all your code base and generate a weightages based on your code base. And when we are putting a prompt in a cursor IDE, the same process will goes again. It will break all the words and do a calculation on the weightages. And after that, the cursor will check the weightages in our code base and then after it will understand the encrypted code and generate an output based on that. Okay, so all the things are related to the roles are mentioned here. You can I will share this document in uh, a WhatsApp group. You can read that. If you have any question, please ask me in that. Okay, so now we will move to the cursor. Okay, so here I am asking cursor to generate a planning.md file and readme file and also create a task.md file. After that, we will generate a set of rules on those files and Whenever the cursor is understand those rules, then after that we will generate a prompt according to that. Okay, so let's put our initial prompt, which is create a. Okay, now I ask cursor to generate a README file and a planning.md file. Now cursor will understand my whole project and generate a .md file and the planning file according to my code patterns and my domain. Okay, so let's wait for a cursor to finalize its thing. Now cursor is checking one by one all the file which is available in our code base and generate a proper README file so that whenever the other developer working on this project, it will only need to read that file and can work easily on this project. If we go through this file, you will see it will show you which frameworks I use to develop this feature and how can you install the dependency which is available in this project so that we can install those dependency to can easily work on this project. If we go through further, it will show you the every step we need to follow while developing this feature, and it also tells you which technologies and stack I am using for the developing this feature and the coding pattern which I use in my components. And also it also mentions the project structure which I have used in my project to develop a new feature, and also it will suggest the new developer you can follow those steps to freely customize the module at any point in our project. while creating a cursor prompt, we will discuss about uh, these things. What are the good prompts and what are the bad prompts? Okay, you will see here. There is a prompt called now update the list record function to add a parameter for the filtering records. This is a good example to ask a cursor to do a task, and this is a bad example to ask a cursor about updating something like that. As you see on my previous prompt, I just mentioned to update something in my record list. But in the next prompt, I told cursor to add something filter, and also I'm getting an error. And also, I please update my .readme file. I am putting three tasks in a single prompt. This is a bad practice. We need to do a specific task at once so that our productive or a more accurate code will be generated because we are doing a specific thing at once. Okay, meanwhile, code is cursor is generating. Let's start our project. Cursor is slow due to my internet. Okay, let's go through our previously created project using the cursor ID. Uh, Now we will utilize the cursor ID to do a task based on images or a paint. Let's take a screenshot of these cards and ask cursor. Okay, it's take times. Let's stop this and ask cursor. I am changing this theme because I'm not. It's not a good to looking good. So now I'm asking just taking a screenshot and asking a cursor to improve it this UI. So I am taking screenshot and paste it over here, and now I am this use. Okay, as you see, I'm not attaching or adding any context to my currently chat. I'm directly taking a screenshot and asking cursor to do these changes. There is nothing context added in my chat. These type of prompts called a zero shot prompting, where I just didn't didn't put any previous result or attach any context to this chat. I directly take a screenshot and put a prompt and ask cursor to do that. This type of prompt called a zero shot prompting. Okay, now cursor will automatically understand my project, and it will check which file has these type of things, and it will directly goes to that file and directly do some changes. If I expand here, you can see it search the related file in my project, and it directly search it know which file need to which file has this UI, and it only search those files. As you see, it directly search the team management card component, and its relevant files, and listed down all the files in a directory. As you see, it will listed all the files, and it will go to that file and do a changes in that specific file only, because these changes need to be done in this module or a file. It will not disturb any other part of your project. It will only do a changes specific to this component. If I go back and check which solution, okay, it's working on these card things. As you see, we can see real-time changes here. Cursor is slow due to my internet. If I go here and check which things cursor is to, I have an option to accept those changes or reject these changes. If it's not relevant to my code, I can reject all the changes, or I can ask to undo to all file, or I can go through one by one the changes the cursor has done. Let cursor finalize it, and if I go here, I can check the changes, and I can accept those changes or reject those changes as well. At the end of the prompt, cursor will show you the affected files and the number of lines the cursor done. Here you see I have use image as a prompt, and just put it a small chunk of sentence to understand cursor what need to be done in this picture, and it automatically generate and understand the picture, and also understand the things need to be improved in this screen. It will generate a code in according to our prompt, and at the end of file you will see the impact of those changes in the screen. Meanwhile, if you have any question, according to our previous session, you can ask. Now cursor is developed the feature. Now cursor is working on the responsiveness thing. As you see, the responsiveness styles. Okay, here you see the cursor, what the changes cursor done for the improvement of the screen. As you see, it done a changes on the card header and the card body and visual enhancement and the skill section, and also adding a responsiveness. It will generate a report at the end of every prompt to understand what things cursor did for the enhancement. And at the end of the prompt, you will see the affected file. You can just accept all the file, or you want to review those file as one by one. You can directly go to click here, and you will move to that file, and you will see the green section which is added by the cursor, and the red section which is removed by the cursor to improve the screen. Okay, if I click here and accept all the changes, now the changes will directly implemented in our platform. If I go here and check the screen, now screen is improve a little bit. If I like, I just take a screenshot and ask cursor, and now what I am doing, I will again took a screenshot of the screen. Now I will use a paint to do an enhancement on these screens. Like if I go here and copy this screenshot and go to the pane, okay, here, okay, now I just take a screenshot and add text on my image. If I go back to the cursor and I put that screenshot, and yes, it is there. And I just ask cursor to just understand my feedback. Yes, the cursor extract the text from my images. It is saying that we need to remove the icons and only we need to show the labels. I just ask cursor to understand my feedback accordingly, and it will extract the my feedback from the images as I took a screenshot and do a paint work on paint and attach that screenshot here. And if the cursor know which need things are mentioned in our image, and it will directly implement those changes. Now the cursor done its part, and it will show you the things it does. Now you can see the icons is removed from here. It directly take an input as an image and generate a result based on your image as a prompt. Okay, so right now we are generating a prompt in multiple files at once. If you want to generate only in a specific file, what step we need to follow for generating a code in a specific file? Okay, let accept these changes. Now, if I want to do a changes only in a specific file or in a specific section, let create an other context. Because we are following the best practices, we will utilize a single context for a single task. Now we are moving to the next task. So that's why I creating a new chat to do a second task. Okay, so here I have copied this section, and if I click Control I, it will go this section as a reference here. Now we will use the second prompting concept called chain of thought prompting. Here you see I have a chain as code here, and I will do prompt on this section only. Okay, if I go here and ask cursor to uh, okay, now we are asked cursor to just change the color of these buttons. We are only copy this section, and we are just affecting this part of our code. And it will not implement all the component. It will only do a code in related to this section only. By this way, it will not generate any further error or any anonymous bug in our application. Okay, now cursor only change the this specific file. If I go and click and check which changes cursor done, it will only do a changes related to that specific part of code. If you see it doesn't change anything related to this file. It only change the change the code related to that section. If I go here and check what color did the cursor use, as you see the color the cursor use is something like this. And if you can improve this by adding a context or an other like a Figma design or a proper prototyping created by a Lovable or something other tool, you can use that designs. Here you just paste that screenshots or Figma design or a lovable website. The cursor will do an R&D on those screenshot or a URL. It will directly implement those UI enhancement in your existing application. Okay, now we will utilize the feature related to the browser thing. If I go here and I just tag a browser here, now I want to cursor know about the a tailwind. Because there is a new concept used in market for the responsiveness and the UI enhancement called a concept called tailwind. Now I if I go to the browser and search tailwind CSS. Okay, so here is the tailwind. If I go back to the cursor and put this URL here and ask cursor to check this URL and suggest me how can I utilize this in my work. Okay, now cursor will go to this website and analyze the things there, and review the documentation here, and suggest me you how can I implement this thing in my project. It will generate a proper document to read and implement accordingly. uh, right now, I'm just taking a simple step to just implement it the UI enhancement. You can use these same step to implement a complex problem, like you have an integration related to a Google or a Facebook or a Twitter. There has a documents related to that integration available in internet. You just go there and search for that document and copy that document URL and put it over here cursor in chat menu, and then cursor will analyze that website content, and it will generate a report of that content. How can we use that integration in our project? After the cursor is how now for the integration, you can directly ask cursor to implement those integration in your project. By this concept, you will resolve your complex problem in your project. Okay, here you see the folder structure as I told you previously. The cursor implement the new features called. You can directly access a file or folder from outside this directory. Because my current directory is this, I want to access something outside of this directory. Okay, you can use this feature directly access a code base or an other file from other directory. Cursor is built this feature by default, and if you want to introduce a document to your cursor to utilize or understand document before implementing the new feature, if a client asks you send you a document or document only, no code, no something else reference material, it will just send you a document requirement document. What will you do? You will put that document here and ask cursor to analyze that document properly according to your code base or your domain of your project, and generate a code based on that. The cursor will do definitely understand your project structure and the requirement which is mentioned in your document. It will implement according to that. Now the third thing is the terminals. The terminals is nothing but it is used for the debugging and for the development or deployment process. The terminal is used for that. It when we opening a terminal here, it will directly attach with your terminal, because right now we are when we're developing a feature, like here you see if I am developing here in cursor and I have open a separate terminal to run my project. Right now this terminal and this code base is separately, if there is any error occurred in our project, the terminal will show here, and the cursor didn't know about those errors. uh, by utilizing this terminal feature, the cursor will know the exactly what is the error happening in your project, and it will identify those error and try to fix those error at the spot. The second last thing is the branch and depth. This feature is used to maintain your code base in some source control. You can use a Git repository, a Bitbucket, or Amazon AWS cloud storage, etc. There are multiple tools are available to host your code in somewhere repositories to manage it securely. Okay, as our previously previous session, I show you the models which Cursor use. If you want to add a custom model, like if you don't rely on this model, you want to use something and other model, you can also add that model in your Cursor IDE. Like if you are developing a code and your company created created a model specific to your organization, and if that company or organization didn't want to use the public available model, it has its own model, and if you want to use that model, you can directly use that model by this feature. If you explore this feature, you just need to add an API key to access that model to your Cursor IDE. It will use that model to generate your code according to the organization architecture. Okay, here is the report. Cursor asked me, Cursor generate a report. How can I use a Tailwind in my project? It generate a proper Tailwind document to understand document and implement that accordingly. It will also create a step to use these steps to use this tailwind in my project. As you see, it will create a 3 or 4 steps, and also uh, uh, suggest me why I use Tailwind and the recommended approach to use this, as because in previously creating rules Cursor, I have added a rule related to that. We need to place a common CSS in a common file. Here it is recommended you to keep existing files working and use Tailwind for the new component, and also some other stuff related to the review things and the configuration related to the Tailwind process. And it at the end, it also suggests me to follow this reference for the future enhancement related to the Tailwind. Okay, if I go and accept these changes now, these files are also available in my project. I will anytime I can review these changes and implement this uh, integration in my project accordingly. Okay, if you have any question, let's ask. Do you have any questions related to the assessment task which you are working on? Okay, thank you guys for the today's session.